who was preaching from the pulpit a message that if you don't like it the way it is, and you can't get it passed in Congress, and you can't get it passed in a court, you can just do it the only way you want to. This is the way that every single country starts to collapse, when the rule of law is no longer being obeyed. I haven't heard anybody talk about this before, but over the last 3 days it's really come to light in a lot of the stories that I've been reading, a lot of the news articles that we've been writing. And I thought, we need to slap the hands of the president somehow or another. We need to make him accountable for his actions. So I thought, what we need to do in the next budget, and I'm writing a letter to a bunch of congressmen going to try to get this in their thinking, is that we need to say, Congressman, you need to create a department that will specifically defend the Defense of Marriage Act within the FBI, and you're going to fund it, and that funding is going to be taken away from the White House budget. Since it is the President's own actions that is creating the need for this department to be created, then we should slap the back of his hand. We should say, you can't do that. The millions of dollars, which we don't know how much it's going to be in Louisiana because of the contempt of court, we should just take it out of the President's budget. We should say, hey, instead of having 31 SARs, you can only have 29 now. We need to fight back. And we need some backbone in Washington, D.C. representing us. Because of the actions of our president, district attorneys, and others around America, I truly believe that our personal liberty is on a path to destruction. And this is really amazing because what is one of the hot topics that we all hear about every week? Immigration. And why are we having a problem with immigration? Is it because we're like Cuba? Or North Korea? I would love for you to go home tonight, pull up on the map of the Korean Peninsula. Just Google Korean Peninsula at nighttime. And I'm going to show you capitalism of South Korea, socialism or communism in North Korea. When you look up the Korean Peninsula, you will see everything below that parallel line, whichever it is, I can't remember, is bright like a Christmas tree. And everything north of that, from North Korea, you'll see 3 dots of light bulbs on. That's the difference. And we have some numbnuts in Congress and in the White House who believe that we should be going down the path of socialism. The immigrants that are coming to this country, they're coming at risk to life and limb. They're coming by boat, they're coming by plane, by train, or by foot. Any way they can get into our country. Why? Because they themselves have an individual desire to know that they have a right to pursue the dreams and the desires of their heart. A very desire, a very thing that we're fighting and struggling every day to keep and maintain. These citizens are not trying to sneak into Venezuela with Hugo Chavez. They're just not trying to do it. They're not in a boat for 100 miles trying to sneak into Cuba. They're not risking life and limb to leave America to go into China. They want to come here to our country. When citizens of other countries are unfortunate enough to find themselves in a war-torn area of the world, they do not shout for joy when they see the UN blue flag coming up over the horizon. They don't have a party in their house when they see the flag of France or Germany or the United Kingdom or Canada. But let me tell you something. When Old Glory comes over the horizon of their country's shores, there are shouts of joy when they see the red, white, and blue. Because they know that when the American soldiers come up, business is going to be done. They know that we hate bullies, we hate hypocrites, and we're going to stop the dictators from taking away their rights to liberty, life, and pursuit of happiness. And why is that? Because our founding fathers created a nation that created within us a lifeblood, a desire, a hunger for liberty. How many of you young men here growing up, you were taught to take up for little girls being hurt. You were taught to take care of your mother. You were taught to take care of your sister. You were taught to take care of who was weaker. That's in our genetic code. And it's there because of our founding fathers. A study was done a few years ago where there was an old lady, and they had some actors, about 3 or 4 young men, that would always attack this lady. So they went all over the world studying different countries. And they went to the United Kingdom, and they were just beating her. I mean, just beating her. Not literally, it was playing. But they had her on the ground taking her purse away. Not a single person. In Sweden, in Germany, France, all these countries. Now they went to Italy, and Italy took up for it. They came to America and they said, well, let's go to a city we don't think we would get much help with. They went to New York City. They grabbed that purse in about 3 seconds. There were 4 guys in there. Same thing in San Francisco. Same thing in Houston, Texas. No matter where they went in America, as soon as they attacked this old lady, they were trying to say, wait a minute, this is a study, because they were getting the snot knocked out of it. But I want to say to you today that this enduring flag, which has become a worldwide symbol of liberty, is losing its color, its honor, its prestige. And it isn't losing it because you and I haven't worked hard enough for the production of wealth. No nation has ever witnessed in the history of world governments. And it's not because of the charity of the hundreds of billions of dollars that we've given over the centuries to help other poor nations. And it isn't because the hundreds of thousands of our mothers and our fathers who gave their lives in the pursuit of protecting freedom around the world. It's losing its luster and its power and its prestige because we have a political party in power right now, all across the nation, who believe we're not worthy of our stature. That we haven't somehow sacrificed enough. We're not the ones who started World War I and World War II. We are the ones who ended. They say that we are too wealthy. And why? I honestly don't know. I'm sure in the book of disease and mental disorders, there's a definition that you can wrap around a liberal. I haven't figured them out yet. Because the very things that they do is aimed at the heart of destruction of the very life that they enjoy. I'm going to skip a couple of pages because we're running out of time here. And I want to get to my book. I was in London just a few weeks ago. And I landed at London at 7 a.m. in the morning. Never been to London before, so it was all new to me. 7 a.m. after a 9-hour flight, when you leave here at 4 in the afternoon, that really does something with your brain and your body. I mean, you were wigging out. And so I get off the plane and we rush to our hotel after taking a couple of trains and, just not a very secure feeling, I will be honest with you, getting on that train, traveling through those neighborhoods. And we get to our hotel, and what is the thing that I'm watching on TV? Eating breakfast. The gay and lesbian community argue that the churches of Great Britain, the United Kingdom, should be forced by the government to allow them to get married in that church. This woman actually came on and she said, us Christians who are gay, I thought, man, if that's not an oxymoron of a statement I've ever heard in my life. We have a right to get married in a church. No, you don't. You don't have a right to go into a church that believes in something that you do not. But in the United Kingdom, they're arguing that they do. 2 weeks later, when I come back, I read a story that breaks my heart. The United Kingdom High Court, which is equivalent to our Supreme Court, ruled that Christians are no longer able, legally, to adopt a child or be a foster parent. They didn't say Jews. They didn't say Muslims. They didn't say Hare Krishna or Buddhists. They said Christians. Why? Because they said a Christian couple will not raise their child to believe that a homosexual lifestyle is a healthy one. We are seeing a movement around the world, and I'm going to talk to you in just a minute about the European Union Bill of Rights. They don't call it the Bill of Rights. but we'll see how that because people desire to have a political influence, that they're just bypassing every bit of rule of law over there. In an effort to start down this path in our country of being able to call a disagreement with the homosexual community hate speech, the President on May the 4th, in a couple of weeks, is going to roll out new anti-bullying laws. These laws that he is bringing up under the Civil Rights Commission Act is scary. It is Orwellian as anything I've ever seen in my life before. Because what he has said and what they are releasing is this: that the schools are going to be required to monitor your children's electronic communications. Their text messages, their emails, their Facebook pages, their MySpace. But I'm not talking about when they're at school. I'm talking about when they're in your house, at home, in the evenings. The government is saying that we're going to allow students to sue schools if they believe that they haven't protected them enough from another bullier. It sounds good, doesn't it? It sounds reasonable that we want to protect children. And you know how they do. They come out there in nice clothes and they bring these little child that's been hurt. It is poor and pathetic. But why is that a right for you to say to the school that you must create contracts with vendors that can spy on my child while they're in my household? This is a path that, when you try to do things that seem good to a liberal, ends up destroying a nation. So on May the 4th, he's going to announce this along with Michelle Obama, and it is going to open up Pandora's box, the likes we've never seen in this country. You got to love this. The homosexual movement, and if you're homosexual here, I'm not condemning you, but I just want to let you know that there is a movement in the homosexual community, the LBGT, whatever they call it, that is desiring to squelch free speech so much that they're willing to even turn over laws of liberty that have protected all of us, including them. In Sweden, a pastor gets up and he gives a declaratory statement of his theological viewpoint about homosexuality. He then goes to prison for a month in order not to speak again like that anymore. And you say, well, it can never happen here. Well, let's bring it closer. Let's go to Canada. A man gets up, another pastor, he gives the Catholic version of what their viewpoint on the homosexual movement is. He goes to prison, ordered to pay $5,000, and told that he can never, ever, ever say, produce, write, or anything that contradicts or would offend a homosexual. Do you know right now in the United Kingdom, you can go to prison longer for offending a homosexual? And when I say offending, I'm not talking about you touched him. I'm not talking about you threw something at him. I'm talking about just words. You can go to prison longer for offending a homosexual in the United Kingdom than you can for raping a woman and molesting a child. In their Bill of Rights, they have a thing called the freedom of expression. So to encourage freedom of expression, they have a law that they just rolled out this past year called third-party harassment laws. And what is this? If you're in an office place and you tell a joke to your buddy, and it may be a little off color, it may be a little bad taste, but someone over here hears it and they're offended, they have a right to sue you now. If you're on the phone with your wife and you're just telling her how much you love her, and you don't even know someone's listening to you, and they overhear you, they have a right to sue you now if what you say offends them. In Germany, they have the thing called the offense police. That if I offend you, you can call 911 or the equivalent thereof. Judge and jury shows up on a motorcycle and you say, he offended me. He has a right to write a ticket up to $50,000. Judge and jury on the spot. When a homeschooling couple in Germany sued for the right to homeschool their child, the Supreme Court of Germany, despite being a member of the EU where they outlaw this, the High Court said, and I'm almost paraphrasing it as precisely as I can, Only the state has the right to teach and train your child up in what they should believe. Therefore, they must go to our state-approved schools. This was the same exact sentiment a couple of weeks ago in the United Kingdom High Court when they ruled that Christians couldn't adopt children.